didn't know they still had a team.
Yeah, we got uniforms and everything. It's really great.
It's Matty and Patty, coast to coast. Welcome to Cleveland Sports Hour. We are two self-aware but unapologetic homers who spend far too much time watching, reading, and thinking about the Cavs, Tribe, and yes, even the professional Cleveland football team, colloquially known as the Browns.
What?
They're back, Matty. They're back.
What?
We have a professional football team in Cleveland.
What?
So listen, if you'd like the informed, intelligent, fans' perspective on all things, you have come to the right place. In New York, this is world champion Pat McMenamin from San Francisco. I am joined by fellow world champion Matt Youngner. Say hello, champion.
Hey, champ. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Been a while.
Yeah. Is this a thing still?
Yeah. We're doing it, so I guess it is a thing.
Yeah. You're here. I'm here.
Hey,
it's a thing.
We might as well do it.
This is weird.
This is very weird. A lot's happened since we last potted, which, by the way, I noticed our last episode was ominously titled The End.
Whoa.
Now, I think we were talking about LeBron because this was it may have been our finals preview.
Yeah.
Where we knew what was going to happen and we were just kind of too bummed out to pod after that.
It's quite dispiriting.
Yeah, we knew it was coming. We knew it was the end of LeBron's time in Cleveland, and we were speculating where he was going to wind up and all that. So that was what the end meant, but it sort of also meant the end of the podcast for a while. Although, to be fair, our time difference was too crazy. I had a morning show. You're on the West Coast. It was impossible to find times to do this. I now have a new time shift, so we're hoping we can get this to be more regular going forward. So
I hope so, Patty. There's exciting things to talk about.
There are exciting things to talk about. Well, I mean, we'll see. The baseball season is kind of a slow draw, so I don't think we'll be that fast and furious. But Matty, when Brown season starts up,
Patty, I gotta tell you, I'm scared.
This might be every week.
This is the time.
Oh, that was a hello from Mrs. Patty.
Ooh.
Stopping by to say hello to Matty.
Ooh, tell her I say hi.
Oh, I will. I will tell her that.
Patty, this is the time for Browns fans to be scared. Somebody made that point on our thread this week, and it was quickly dismissed in the euphoria of the moment. But let's just jump into this, right?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Exciting, no doubt. My quick take, and we'll dive deeper, is you got to make that trade 100 times out of 100. I don't. Too much? Too good? I'm nervous.
I don't know how to handle success.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's very frightening. I'm waiting for something bad to happen. This is going to blow up in a terrible way. I got a lot of nerves.
I'm used to yearning to be excited about the draft because they don't have to do anything. They just gotta draft guys, and I can say, "Oh, they're going to be great someday," and worry about it falling apart later. Now it's like we're expected to do shit.
Oh Lord, this is weighing heavy on me.
I mean, this is like this is sort of like how Cavs fans know how to handle being champions. We're not used to
very similar.
We don't know what to do with it, and there's a sense of dread. But I was like, fuck. But again, this is part of look. I start this podcast, Matty, by greeting you as a champion, as a reminder that we are fucking champions. We don't need to worry about this shit. We can be cocky and worry about the crash and burn later.
This is true. It's a wonderful time to be excited, and there is plenty to be excited about with this team right now.
Lean into it.
Pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome. I'm just acknowledging that that's lurking somewhere in the back of my head, but we don't need to dwell on that.
Oh, absolutely. It's always there, but I found a way to tamp it down because, again, I have that championship. I have that Game 7 tape to go back to whenever I'm feeling down about Cleveland sports.
Yeah.
It's a different world now that we had that championship 2016.
There really is every reason to be excited about if we had been potting, there was every reason to be excited towards the end of that season. And I mean, this offseason, let's get into it. It's gone about as good as I think it can.
Let's get into it. And let's be clear to listeners. We're not just going to talk about the Browns today. Browns will talk about, for once, for a while, we totally banned the Browns.
For good reason.
Yes. I refer to them as the semi-pro team. They are now a fully pro team, hence the Major League reference at the top of the show. But we're going to talk about the Browns at the top. But we are going to spend some time talking about the Cavs, LeBron, Kyrie, and also like the Indian season starting up in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Opening day. So we'll touch on that too. But let as you said, man, let's dive into it. I will start with just pointing out that just 14 months ago, at this time 14 months ago, we were having a perfect season parade for an 0-16 team.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And now we're talking about Super Bowl contention. What?
That is the beauty of the NFL, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes for the quickest turnaround in any of the major sports.
We've only been waiting for it for about 20 years.
Yeah.
For that quick turnaround to happen.
Well, that's what they say, right? You get a quarterback.
Yeah.
A couple guys, have some stuff planned. And I know you want to talk about the fall guy in all this, Patty.
Oh, we'll get to him in a second.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'll let it, but
first and foremost,
the residue of that work.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. But the first and foremost, I found that the parallels to the LeBron returning home announcement to be incredible. Like, people have been reacting to the OBJ trade like LeBron coming home, which is crazy. Because I remember talking about how good the city felt. Like, that was the phrase our friend Versteeg shared. He said, like, everyone's talking about saying, the city feels so good right now.
Yeah.
The day that LeBron announced he's coming home. And I catch a sense of that in Cleveland now, to the point where, like, the link I sent around earlier of this guy who was screaming so loud and running through the streets, celebrating the OBJ trade, prompted a 911 call to the police that someone was being crazy or threatening in the streets. But really, he was just excited about the OBJ trade. Like, this feels like the same thing. I mean, is it as big of a deal? Is it the same thing?
So, objectively, sport to sport, no. There's no. LeBron's, in my opinion, the best player of all time. Coming back like that and healing old wounds, there was so much caught up in that. What it does speak to is how much a bigger deal the Browns are to the city of Cleveland than the Cavs or the Indians, for that matter.
Absolutely.
And that passion has lain not quite dormant, but has certainly been shit all over. Can I say that by the performance of the team for the last 20 years?
Yes, you can.
And when you get a glimmer of hope, man, you forget that is a football town first and foremost, and you really see it come out there, man. So no, player to player, the comparison doesn't work, but on the scale of emotion for what that city cares about, I get it.
Well, and also say, the Cavs, when LeBron came home, were much worse than the Browns right now, before OBJ.
Yeah, things felt the Cavs had another bad season.
Right.
Wasn't clear that the young players were working. The plan didn't really feel like it was. We had a crappy coach.
It was a complete turnaround. Whereas, like, this case, like, we have one step, we have 1 year. But still, 1 year ago, we were 0-16.
Yeah.
And by adding OBJ, like, before OBJ was added, we were going to be a really fun, scrappy team that was probably going to be in the play. It was almost certainly going to be in playoffs.
Oh,
like,
I think depending on what else happened in free agency and the draft, we might have been very well favored to win the division.
Yeah. So we still had good odds anyways. But it was just that, like, a year ago, 0-16, and now we are talked about as Super Bowl contenders. We are in the top 3 for the AFC. Like, that was all of a sudden we reached the expectations of that Cavs team after LeBron came home.
Yes,
and so that's
similar too. That's fair.
But yeah.
Now I also think that puts probably too much on one player in this circumstance, and just as a difference between football and basketball there, right?
Yes, absolutely. But we'll get into that a little bit in terms of how good OBJ is and how much better he makes everyone else on the team. Like, that's the real big multiplier there. But yes, let's get into how this happened in the first place and who really is to be credited for this coup. Everyone is talking up Mr. Dorsey. But Maddie, I think a thank you is in order to the real hero of this story, Mr. Sashi Brown.
Boy, this is really – you've been riding this narrative for a long time, Patty.
I am a Sashi truther, Maddie.
You are indeed.
I remember saying I wanted Sashi to stay and not Hugh. think that's probably the right take. Even though it's
in retrospect?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't fully confident about it, but I was like, I don't think Sashi should go. I think Sashi's on the right track. I think I may have been okay with keeping Hugh and Sashi for some stupid reason, just because it didn't matter if we were winning right yet. But I was like, Sashi's the guy to keep because he is killing the assets, even though he's fucking up a lot with draft picks. And the AJ McCarron thing. The AJ McCarron thing always smelled like Hugh being a fucking douchebag. I still believe today that Sashi Brown intentionally knew what he was fucking doing and fucked that trade up on purpose. I believe that to this day. I'm a Sashi truther. AJ McCarron has Hugh's fingerprints all over it, and I feel like
does indeed
knew what he was fucking doing and fucked that up on purpose. So anyway, point being, Sashi though. Let me walk through Sashi's accomplishments. Can I do that real quick?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Aside from one, he created all the cap space that made this possible. Number one.
Agreed.
Two,
that's the basic tanking plan that he executed.
Exactly. He accumulated assets. He traded a punter for the 4th round pick that Dorsey used to trade for Jarvis Landry.
Ooh, that was good.
Punter. That was Sashi fucking Brown.
Yeah.
Sashi's trade down gave us Jabril Peppers, which was used in the deal.
Yeah.
He also drafted Myles Garrett, David Njoku, and Larry Ogunjobi in his last draft.
Those were all good picks.
Those were fucking great picks. And I still think the trade he made with Houston was a fucking coup, where we got a 2nd round pick for taking on cap space when we didn't need to win. I forget how we ended up using that 2nd round pick, but point being, I think that maybe
where we picked up what's his face.
Was it Zeitler?
No. Oh no, sorry. I'm thinking the quarterback we traded for.
Ah, shit. Yeah.
That I'm blanking on. What's his? It was in Denver and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Point being, Sashi laid the groundworks for this, and while he's probably not a great football man, and I'm glad that we have Dorsey in place. He's been pulling the right moves so far, I have to say. You don't get any of this without Sashi Brown, and if the Browns ever win a Super Bowl, I want him to get a fucking ring. Sashi Brown is as much the architect of this team as Dorsey. So, just gonna say it right now. Sashi, ride or die.
Yeah, he. What's he doing now, Patty? Do you know?
I have no idea. I wish I thought of that.
I sort of think he's out of
football. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
He also might just be living large because he, that anyone gets fired for the Browns in a high stake position gets a lot of money for a while. So,
yeah, that's true. I'm sure he's collecting paychecks.
I'm really Googling this right now. He appeared at the Sloan Sports Analytic Conference. So I don't know.
That's something.
I think he's just kind of chilling. Sounds great. Hey, enjoy it, man.
Patty, that was Brock Osweiler we traded for. You'll remember.
Brock Osweiler. Yes, Brock Osweiler.
I think that pick might have turned into DeShone Kizer.
Yeah, maybe that was a wash in the end of the day. But you know what? Point is, we wasted that pick on DeShone Kizer, and
DeShone Kizer turned into Randall, right?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
See, although that's Dorsey's work. Patty, I feel I appreciate the true thing, and I think it's there. I also sort of have the feeling that Sashi Brown did some good things. I don't know that he was the guy to take us home. I feel much more confident in Dorsey's hands right now.
No.
If for no other reason than the Baker Mayfield pick, which was not consensus by any stretch of the imagination.
Although I will say, I do think that I don't know what the word is on what's his name, De Podesta, but that was the analytics pick. The analytics favored Baker Mayfield. That would have been a Sashi pick, most likely. I think.
All right, that's a lot of projection there, Patty.
I mean, the funny thing is I haven't seen anything that said that De Podesta was against Baker Mayfield for that pick. I've only seen the conflict between De Podesta, the Moneyball guy, and Dorsey over coaches, and clearly De Podesta's been wrong a lot about the coaches. Although there was a great article that was saying that was not the guy that De Podesta was pushing for with Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson was not his choice. He was pushing for a Panthers.
No,
guy.
I think that was That was a Haslam call, right?
For the Haslam call, yeah, exactly.
I mean, maybe the biggest deal of all here is that it seems like Haslam's just back out of the decision-making processes, right?
And thank fucking God. I mean, like,
there's a clear line of command. There's an adult in charge.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's the reason to be most confident.
All right, so let's get back to the deal.
All right.
Deal itself. OBJ for the 17th pick, the last pick in the third, which is a Dorsey move, trading Danny Shelton. Who again, Danny Shelton was a Sashi pick. And Peppers. I miss Pep. I'm bummed about losing Peppers. I don't think we're going to be able to replace him with a guy who's better. That's lost. But how do you feel about that price tag? I mean,
when I first saw that the trade went down, I was worried that it was going to be like a Khalil Mack style trade.
Yep.
Multiple first round picks, and I was not in favor of that.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw the terms, I was like, this sits fine with me.
1,000%.
Absolutely fine with me. Peppers felt like he was coming around and was a good player, but I never felt like he's going to be a star.
I mean, the funny thing is, 17th in the third, to me, is obviously a steal. It hinges a little bit on what Peppers becomes. A little, but like if Peppers is what he is now, or a little bit better, is it still a good deal? It's still a solid deal for the Browns. It's not like the huge steal it was. But like that, it's worth recognizing. That's if Peppers becomes what he could be, a first round pick, like a real like value, that's a lot. That's 2 firsts basically, right?
Yeah.
So like think about it that way. It's a high price to pay. Like our friend Ned was talking about this. This is not a cheap price. I think we've been over dumping on the Giants a little bit. This is a serious price to pay, but it does depend on how.
I don't know. I don't know if that's right. I mean, he was a first round pick. I don't know. Just because he's playing and as a starter in the league doesn't mean that that's how you'd value him, right? If you were going to trade him straight up right now, I think what I saw was a 4th round pick maybe is what he would have fetched on the open market.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not first round pick value now, even though I understand that's where he was taken.
That's fair. That's fair in terms of the value. Yeah, that's true.
So, and that's, I think maybe we're underrating OBJ here.
Yes, and we'll get to that in a minute in terms of what the impact is going to have on the team. But I am going to miss him because one of the things we were looking for Earl Thomas. We're looking at, I think, what's his name from the Eric Berry has been released by the Chiefs.
He's still out there too. I mean, he's a little old, a little injured, a lot injured. And the thing is, like, the difference is that like Peppers wasn't a free safety; it's a strong safety. He's the guy kind of like loads the box, so to speak. What I'm reading is like that's not where there's the depth in the free agency market. So we may need to go, into the draft, or just use Derek Kindred, I guess. So that is a loss. It's a real loss in the defense, which we'd really bolstered in the offseason so far. So we'll see what comes of that. See what they do with that. But yes, I trust Dorsey to be thoughtful about that, though.
Agreed. But yes, what does OBJ do to the offense? I mean, all of a sudden,
boy, oh boy,
all of a sudden it makes everybody better because you've got OBJ who can do underneath and over the top routes. You have Callaway who is pretty much just over the top routes. But you have Jarvis,
now your third receiver in single coverage,
right? And Jarvis was supposed to be a slot guy doing the underneath routes with great hands, getting you those first downs, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then you got Higgins, and you've got there's a couple of the rookies who are doing. Who's that? I forget that rookie guy who was doing really well last year before he got hurt. We've got a really deep receiver core now.
Yeah, that
is made so much better just by the presence of OBJ. They've got to throw everyone over to him, and this opens up stuff for Joku too in the middle.
Oh yeah,
and on the seam, like this opens up everything for a quarterback as talented as Baker.
Does the trade, the other trade we made, worry you a bit, weakening our offensive line?
I'm going to defer to Uncle Granty, who I wish we had time to get him into the podcast, and that's my fault. I didn't get the chance to beg for Uncle Granty.
God damn it!
Yeah, sorry, just too much going on. But
get your priorities straight.
Seriously. But no, Uncle Granty's take was that, it was Zeitler that we traded, right? Sorry, I can't remember.
Yes. We did not draft him. We
Right.
signed him as a free agent from the Bengals.
We paid him high money. He probably wasn't worth it, and he's getting a little old. And if they're going to make a trade like this, they must actually think that that our draft pick from last year, who I've also forgotten his name, is ready.
Yeah, is ready to step in.
And look, because he couldn't get any time because we were trying. I think we tried him out in the tackle spot early on, and he was not good at that. And so, yeah, we put him on the bench because we had, high paying in the guard.
We also had a messed up left tackle situation all year.
Yeah, exactly. So I take that as a sign that he's ready, and we'll see if he is. And that's a big gamble at the end of the day. But if that's the case, that's taking a strength and using it to bolster a weakness on the Browns, which again tells me that they also don't think that highly of Ogba. That Ogba is okay, but he's not like great. He's certainly not as good as that other guy. And I know that we're shopping him now, so maybe that's going to help us get some safety help or something else somewhere else. You're
not worried about the offensive line. I have mild concerns there. It was an offensive line that wasn't great. That sort of felt like it was coming together at the end. It was billed as a strength going into the season, even with Joe Thomas retiring. Felt like it was a little susceptible throughout the year, although maybe that really changed once Hugh was,
gone.
Had his unsteady hand off the wheel.
I mean, that was incredible how the offensive line completely changed after he left. Was just weird. Not just Hugh, but honestly, Todd Haley. So yeah, we'll see.
That's the only little spot of slight worry that I have about that offense.
Mm-hmm. But the only thing that's different is the guard position. And I'm not super confident about Robinson
left tackle either. I mean, we re-signed him for what, $7 million?
Yeah, for 1 year.
1 year, which seems a little weird though, because it must mean that they have mild confidence in him, but not a lot of confidence.
Right.
Because why not sign him to a multi-year deal with options if you think he's going to be okay? If you have confidence in him, otherwise he has a good year and you lose him. I sort of thought they were going to draft a left tackle with their first-round draft pick, which obviously won't happen now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's just some uncertainty there that eats at me a little.
Yeah. I mean, they seem really high on the young guy too that they started out the year with and replaced with Robinson. I wonder if they're still thinking that he still has the talent to develop into that role long term, and that's why they gave Robinson 1 year. I don't know. I mean, Robinson did a great fucking job. I mean, so
yeah, he was a little penalty ridden, and maybe they have confidence that they can overcome that. And listen, I still am unclear if we were terrible at drafting or terrible at player development or just terrible at both. I think I made this point. I can't remember who I was talking to. Did you notice how many former Browns were on playoff teams this year?
Yeah.
All over the place. And even our bad player, like Barkevious Mingo was playing on the Seahawks. Pierre Desir's resuscitated his career. Shelton was getting minutes. It was just all over the place. Guys that we'd given up on and thought couldn't do anything were there. And I don't know. The organization was so broke. I don't know.
That's very true.
Blame and
that's very
maybe
true.
Maybe I just need to get used to the idea that we can develop players.
I mean, that's very true, but at the same time, most of the names you just named were expected to be like superstars. They were first round. Most of them first round picks.
That's true. They're not that.
And they were playing bit roles. So like that was our trash because they were busts that turned someone else's treasure. Pierre Desir is a different story. I was always confused why we lost him. He was a tall, serviceable quarterback who was drafted in the middle rounds. It was a good pick. I don't know why we ever lost him. That was weird.
It's probably because we were the worst franchise in the league. If I had to guess.
You may have put.
If I had to guess, that had no plan and an amoral fool of an owner running the organization. If I had to guess.
Well, I guess that's a pretty good educated guess. Craziest thing, Matt, is that I gotta start. I gotta get DirecTV back and get Sunday.
Oh yeah, you do, buddy. You know what's exciting for me, Patty?
What's that?
The Browns play out here in San Francisco this year.
Ooh, we get to go to a game.
Browns have the NFC West, and the Niners game is out here. So I'm already. I mean, the schedule hasn't been announced yet, so I don't know when it is. But I'm already thinking about making that hour-and-a-half long trek down to that hellhole to watch the game.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
My family was very close to selling the season tickets before the trade happened, and now.
Oh boy.
Well, just knowing that we can sell tickets for like a profit now for the games we don't go to is a huge boon. It's like been worth it now. And now I can go and get the season ticket value. I can go to a game if I for it. So I'm gonna have to schedule some time for a Browns game.
That's fun. Your dad is on the short list of people I'm happiest for in all this, I think.
You don't understand. My dad, even before the OBJ trade, was sending like weekly emails with like 10, 12-minute videos of compilations of Baker Mayfield highlights. My dad has completely turned around on the Browns and is obsessed. Like, he is the Cleveland sports fan in the sense that, like, when you wonder why Cleveland sports fans are so much more into football and the Browns than the Cavs and all that stuff. This is it. My dad always cared about the Cavs. He always loved the Cavs. Like, we had those like partial season tickets for years. No, but he is obsessed to the point of like I can't even read all his emails anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, and I love reading like content about the Browns, but like it's too much. My dad's a little too obsessed. He's too excited.
It's exciting. I like an excited Michael McManaman.
It's time. It's time. Just, yes, he is a fun guy to be around for exciting sports times, and he was around for that last game against the Ravens. That was a fun game to watch with him. That was like old times.
That was super enjoyable. Even as a loss, that was super enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Patty.
All right,
yeah. Move on, but this is exciting. Let's make a commitment to come back and talk post-draft maybe, because free agency should be wrapped up. We'll have a better picture of what the team's going to look like.
I love it. And that's in April, so like there'll be like some baseball to talk about at that point.
Oh, we'll have baseball to talk about. Some more basketball.
All right, so you have it here. This is the first podcast. We're going to come back in about a month post-draft. Talk about the Browns and talk about where the Indians, the Cleveland baseball team is.
Yes.
Meantime, let's go on to the Cavs and LeBron, if you're up for it.
Oh, I'm up. I'm always up to talk about
this. Listen, this week was a great Zach Lowe article, mostly focused on does the season hurt LeBron's GOAT argument. And I think the answer, Maddie, just off the bat, is yes.
Yes.
Not a good. 100%. This is bad for his legacy for sure.
100%. I'm a LeBron stan, but 100% this hurts.
This is bad for him. Like,
now I don't like
until his injury was fine. It was neutral. Till his injury was neutral. His injury happened, helped bolster it. When he came back, though, they just faded so badly that that's not good.
No, and it's less about his play on the court.
Yeah.
Which is he's doing his usual thing, right? I mean, he doesn't give it 100% because he's saving himself for something, and whatever that is. I don't disagree with that. I have a hard time arguing with it.
Yep.
But more about all the other stuff, which to me is sort of like why he chose LA. Like he made a decision to do that for whatever. And I say this with no bitterness as a Cavs fan. He gave me everything I could hope for and more. But he clearly made a decision that was not about championships.
Yep.
It was about his family and off-court stuff and whatever else. And again, God bless him for it. But I don't know how that doesn't hurt him. Mm. And you can't say whatever. Is he exhibiting leadership at all with that organization? It sure doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like his relationships with the young players there at all. I mean, is he a good leader? I don't know. I think that's a reasonable question to ask. Especially as you watch Kyrie melt down and pretend to be a leader and call LeBron, all that nonsense. I don't know.
It's tough. And well,
I don't know how good a leader Michael Jordan was either, by the way. He's a sociopath.
Exactly. No, he wasn't.
He was really good. Like, I think that's probably overrated.
Look,
that I think is I don't see how it doesn't hurt his legacy.
I think you have a rant coming up, but let me have a rant about Michael Jordan for a second. Michael Jordan's
please.
greatness was an accident of fucking history of having an incredibly historically weak NBA to compete against when he had and happened to luck into, look, great fucking player, like one of the greatest of all time, but he happened to combine with another great player of all time in an era where there were no other fucking greats of anywhere near either of those two players' stature in the entire fucking league. They never fucking beat a 73-win team. And you can be
some good teams, Patty.
They beat some good teams, but being a sociopath does not make you a good leader. Being good at basketball and having to be with another Hall of Fame player against those were good teams, Maddie, but none of them compared to the teams that LeBron had to play. I mean, the peak Spurs and the peak Warriors, Jordan never had to play those teams. So that's
especially peak Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jordan never had to play peak Spurs. Not even close. No other team he played was even good as peak Spurs. The Jazz were not nearly even close to the Trailblazers back then were not anywhere close to as good as peak Spurs.
That's fair.
And I think that's one of those accidents. So put that aside. LeBron, I think, is a good leader, but again, I don't think that team is built up right.
Unquestionably. I mean, that the front office, and if LeBron's part of the front office, I don't know how that goes there. He deserves blame, but they put the roster composition there is terrible.
Yeah,
laughably bad.
If LeBron went to the Sixers, this is not happening. The Sixers are going to be the top team in the East, for sure.
Sure feels that way to me.
For sure. And there have been some issues there, but like those are some real legit players. The Lakers have a garbage heap of semi-talented players with shitty attitudes. LeBron did that choice. He made that choice for professional reasons, like with being near LA, but also just family reasons. It doesn't sound like it was really about basketball. At the end of the day, he realized he does not want to play for fucking Van Gilbert anymore, and I can't blame him for that. And says, you know what? If I can't find the right situation, I just want to actually be with my family and enjoy my life.
Let me ask you this, Patty. People tend to avoid this topic with Jordan. LeBron's still playing basketball this year. Would he have been better off just
retiring,
fucking off and playing AA baseball for a year for no reason? And just shitting on his legacy like that? That Jordan gets a pass for that year is a little bit of bullshit to me.
1,000% bullshit.
Whatever his reasons, at least LeBron's still playing basketball.
Let LeBron play basketball and dog it for 2 years. How is that worse than retiring for 2 years?
Yes.
I mean, yes, he gets the stats, and so that helps him in the long run. But whatever, we knew LeBron was going to pass Jordan in all these stats, anyways. I think that's a fair point to make. Is if he's making this transition year. That's why I'm saying the book's not closed on this.
No. He definitely can resuscitate. This hurts.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not that he can't recover from it.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how that happens. That's a story for anher podcast. But.
Yeah, Lakers signing or trading for somebody huge and creating a super team that LeBron can be a cog in. That's where this turns.
Yeah, and having more big moments. He's just not going to have those this year. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matt, you had a Kyrie rant you wanted to go off on. I'm just going to tee you up.
Kyrie related.
Yeah.
So I'll just say when he left, I think you and I had a conversation on a podcast of watch out for what you're getting here, Boston. And it has been extremely edifying to see that come to fruition in much the way that we suspected, right? Yep. All this, I remember there was all that Kyrie's in here. He's got a lot of Kevin Garnett in him. He's just an alpha. I was like, this is nonsense. Kyrie is sort of an asshole.
He's an asshole.
Definitely a baby. Super moody. None of this is a surprise to me.
Yeah.
My related rant is not so much about him, but did you see the thing? Adam Silver gave that interview at the Sloan Sports Conference about how unhappy his players are.
Huh. No.
How he was just I think a lot of guys in this league are just unhappy. And so you look at Kevin Durant, I'm out here in San Francisco. Everybody here just knows he's leaving after this year. That's just everybody's resigned to it.
Yeah.
he's miserable. Why is he miserable? Right? He's in about the best basketball situation he could be in. San Francisco for off the court stuff is about as good a spot as you could be in, or it's equal to New York or LA for business opportunities or whatever. Just miserable. And I think I don't know, we've had this debate about player empowerment and them being able to make decisions about where they go. And I think there is a little paradox of choice stuff going on here where rather than being someplace and saying, I'm here and I got to make decisions to be happy with where I'm at, it is, and this is a very millennial thing, I'm not happy and the circumstances are what's wrong, not anything with me. And so if I change those circumstances, I will be happy and I will continue changing those circumstances because I am incapable or don't want to address the thing that's really going on. And I sort of wonder if the star power in basketball is going in that direction, and we're just going to end up with a lot of guys that are miserable every year because they're not willing to commit and be part of a team and something that's bigger than themselves, which is where human beings actually find meaning and happiness.
That's very profound. I think that's very true for Kyrie, in the sense that Kyrie isn't going to be happy because he's Kyrie. Durant, though, I think is self-fulfilling prophecy. I think he's unhappy because he knows it's empty.
I'd love that. I'd love that to be true.
No, I do think it's true. I think he gets some satisfaction out of it, but he gets even more resentful that he knows a huge chunk of the world doesn't give him credit for it. Mm-hmm. And nothing he can do on the court will ever change that, and that feels infuriating. On top of that, he has to play with fucking Draymond all the time. And
it's no walk in the park.
Yeah, that's no walk in the park. And he knows that he had a really great team with another guy he was frustrated by. That could have.
But again, that speaks to something that I'm saying. Like, can you just make it work someplace where you're at, where people really cared about you? You know, I have that feeling a little bit with LeBron, with how sad that him passing Jordan was in LA, and a bunch of people wrote about how amazing it would have been if that had happened in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Like, people would have gone.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just felt so dead. And you're giving something up, and I wonder if guys realize how much they're giving up there. And it's not just Kyrie and KD, right? Anthony Davis feels like there's a similar thing brewing there. Kawhi, if he jumps from Toronto to go someplace else, is he really going to be happy wherever he goes? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It feels like there's a real run of that in the league right now.
Absolutely. And it feels like it's tied to something larger generationally. Adam Silver talked about how these guys are so isolated. So travel experiences that used to be bonding are now spent with your earbuds in and just watching stuff on your phone and not talking to anybody. And I know there's a larger thing about anxiety and depression and mental health amongst kids that are coming up in that era. Social media, all that. They think they're friends with guys that they're talked to on social media, but actually don't know them at all. And I just think the NBA is a very interesting manifestation of that, with guys who have all the trappings of success and things that should make them happy and aren't. These are great points. And this is a great transition, actually, into another point I was thinking about making. If you think about it, a lot of this all stems from the Durant decision to sign with the Warriors.
Oh, so much.
Because think about it. I think about how much happy the Warriors would have been as a team if they hadn't gotten Durant. They wouldn't have won championships because the Cavs would have beat them. But like, that would have been that squad, right? That squad would stayed together as a unit and as an identity. Like their identity would have been the same. And you would have had a much more satisfying finals in 2017 with an actual rematch. I kept joking in 2017 saying, this ain't a rematch. You guys got Durant, and you basically conceded the argument that we were better than you.
Yeah. Well,
it's over. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you who also would have liked the team that would have liked a rematch is the Thunder with Durant on it coming back at them too, right?
Absolutely.
Clearly, for the balance of the league, it would have been much better. And arguably, this Cavs team stays together. Who knows? Like, what if?
Oh my God! Exactly. Everything would have been better in this league because these teams would have been forced to stay together. Yeah. Durant doing that fucked the whole league up. Everyone went crazy. I've got to go here. I've got to go there. Well, if I'm going to match the Durant, adding Durant to a 73-win team, the second best player in the league, the 73-win team, that fucks everything up.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone's going crazy right now. And that's why he left. That's why, like, Anthony Davis did the shit he's doing. That's why LeBron eventually went to LA. He's like, fuck this shit. I don't want to play for Dan Gilbert and not win.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting time in the league.
It really is.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what happens.
This reminds me, though, that, like, the 2017 Cavs team, which had Korver in it, which did not win the championship.
It's like a top 20 team of all time, definitely. I don't go higher than that, I think, right?
I go top 10 easily. Like, first of all, it set tons of records, not just because of the crappy East. It set NBA Finals records against the Warriors team.
Yeah.
They beat us 4-1. Like, we went nuts that year. And it could have been a more competitive series if a few shots went a different way.
For sure. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. He's the best of those teams. We were on board with that going into that year, I think. Going into the playoffs that year.
And RJ was right when he said that basically, like, we would have whooped that original Warriors team with the 2017 team.
I've always thought that.
Oh, easily. We would have, even if we didn't add Korver, we would have beaten them. But still, with Korver, all that shit, man, we would have whooped those guys.
You know, it goes to my favorite thing to tell Warriors fans to get them mad here is that you can't win a championship with Steph Curry as your best player. It's never happened. It's never happened. He needed KD to win them. He wasn't their best player in 2015. That's why he didn't win MVP. He was actually quite bad in that series.
He was horrible in that series.
It makes people. I've almost been in fights saying that to people. It makes them so, because then you start saying that, you're like, well, never won MVP. You tell me. Can you win if he's your best player? Sure doesn't seem like it. Anyways, things I do to amuse myself out here. Petty, so the Cavs got crushed tonight by the Orlando Magic, not surprisingly, but they have been playing so much better and like really enjoyable to watch for the most part lately. And bizarrely, for a team that's going to finish with one of the 3 worst records in the league, most likely, this year's been way more fun than last year. Yeah. And it reminds me just how, like, Kyrie leaving, knowing the whole season that LeBron was going to be gone, you know, that Dwayne Wade sort of confirmed in that interview. And he was like, yeah, I came to the team. I knew LeBron was leaving after the year. And it was like, oh, God, it was really just, like, we suspected, but it was just out there like that as an open thing. It just, knowing that that we just didn't have the juice to beat the Warriors. There was no way. That trade going down in such a weird way, the trade in the middle of the season, blowing everything. It was just such an unpleasant year.
Yeah.
It just, one, I'm used to being bad, and this is sort of my milieu as a Cleveland fan. I know how to do this.
When you have no expectations, it's easy to be pleased. And I am. I was pleased by our close loss to the Sixers the other night. It was fun to watch.
And it's a group of guys that honestly looks like they enjoy playing together. Kevin Love feels like a real leader.
Yeah.
Dare I say it on this team?
Yeah.
Your son Chetty looks like he's going to be a real NBA player. I was worried about halfway through the season, but I think he's
watching him shoot threes. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to top out at, but he belongs in the league. I feel much better about Colin Sexton than I did 6 months ago.
Much better. I was surprised at how he turned the shit around.
Right.
That's a great base to build off of. Like you add if we can get a top 4 pick, I mean that can turn the team into a competitive team, and that's really all. That's all I want. That's what a competitive team.
And I think they're doing now. Again, Gilbert, for all his faults, the one thing he's always been willing to do and continues to do is spend money. We're going to finish with one of the probably 3 worst records in the league. We are just maybe by thousands of dollars under the luxury tax for this year.
Wow.
Not the salary cap, the luxury tax. We're paying some people some crazy salaries, and he'll do it again next year. And my guess is we flip that J.R. Smith contract that you can buy out for much less than it's worth. We flip that to help another team create cap space. And stay right there for more draft assets. We're starting to build back up a nice little war chest. There's a path forward this time that feels much more reasonable than we had last time, and especially knowing that LeBron's not going to fall back into our laps again to make everything work. I don't know. I'm looking forward to rooting for this team.
Yeah, me too. And I like all the gambles to be able to make on a bunch of players like Marcus Smith and
Chris.
Marcus Chris, right? Who got suspended for defending himself after being choked and punched.
Oh God, Ibaka's out of control, man.
I think it's I hope that suspension gets revoked. He got
for Chris. He already served it.
He served it. That's crazy.
That's why he was out for the Sixers game.
Right, but that's bullshit.
I don't know what else he was supposed to do.
What the fuck are you supposed to do? Man's choking you, pipes in the face.
Yeah,
you can't punch back. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like you got to be. That was bad by Keegan anyway. Like you got to be able to like do some common sense here. Like if you're being grabbed, choked, and punched, you can't be held responsible for punching back. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So stupid.
Especially because he didn't really do anything to warrant whatever he said to him. I mean, what's the reporter he was saying to him? Like, that's a bitch move, could be in a bit, something like that. It seems not worthy of that kind of explosion on Ibaka's part.
No. So I'm glad I traded Ibaka away before I won my championship in basketball.
All right.
I'm trying to rest on my laurels as a champion. Maddie, we got like 10 minutes for some tribe.
Yeah, let's do a little tribe time, man. Spring training. I'm getting excited.
Maddie Santana's back. How do you feel?
I'm glad to have him back. I always liked
Santana.
I always had a soft spot for him. I didn't mind seeing him walk for that money.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to have him back. He's an Indian.
I'd rather have him, honestly, at this point in his career than
Encarnacion.
Yeah, Encarnacion.
Oh no, he's more. I totally agree. He can do more in the field. I think his on base percentage is going to be way better. Maybe his power. Who knows what happens with Encarnacion? I could sort of see him just really falling off.
Yeah, that's.
I could see Santana didn't have a great year last year. I could see him bouncing back a little. I just like him more.
Yeah. Somebody was saying on the Athletic about how like the familiar music being played and the dancing and like that's great, and you can't put a number on that. That's some good mojo.
Totally agree.
But so Kluber, Cookie, and Bauer are all still here.
You don't put Clevenger in there, Patty.
Well, we weren't. I don't think we were worried about Clevenger being traded.
Oh, you're just saying from a trade perspective. Yeah. I'll still hear.
Like Cookie re-signed, so we knew he was going to be sticking around. But for a time, Kluber, Cookie, and Bauer were the guys we were floating out there for trades, right?
For sure.
And we ended up not doing it. Do you feel good about that? Do you feel like we should have traded one of them?
It wasn't clear to me that we were going to get value back for any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know
what would the package be. I don't know what we want.
I think we wanted major league ready young talent, particularly in the outfield, plus 2 prospects.
It's hard to pull off. Yeah.
I just don't know that it ever materialized. I don't know. None of the deals I heard floating around sounded great to me. I'm happy to have them all. I mean, it's a nasty starting rotation. I think Bieber will take a step forward again this year. Clevenger is going to be even better.
The thing is, like, if we have like 6 really, really, really above average starting pitchers, which we kind of do in the sense that you add Clevenger to that mix, you add Bieber to that mix, and any other young guys that are starting quality pitchers, there's no reason we can't start using them in a certain different way. Like, like the new fangled, the Tampa Bay Rays that don't have openers, Not that I want to use them as openers, but
Bauer thinks he should be pitching every 4 days.
That's what I'm saying.
That he can.
Maybe we have Bauer be an opener, and the other guy, like Bauer's crazy, man. Like,
he is nuts. You read that article?
No, but
you should.
I've read about it. He's crazy.
It's worth reading the whole thing.
Contracts and shit. That dude's nuts. But like,
he's an interesting character, man.
But like, I don't know. I want to experiment with Bauer because he's crazy, and we're going to lose him soon anyway. So like, let's.
Yeah, this might be the end of things with him. I mean, he's going to sign a massive deal next year, or go to arbitration, Maybe we pay him one more, but it wouldn't shock me. I honestly, depending on what happens during this year, it wouldn't shock me if we trade him during the season.
Wait, how many more years do we have under control? I thought
one more
years.
Next year's the last one for Bauer. He'll go to arbitration next year, and his arbitration gets weighed against what he would be as a free agent, which means he'll probably get arguably 25 to 30 something million dollars in arbitration next year.
Jesus. We aren't going to pay that. Probably.
And he's going 1 year. Right. So this is probably it for him.
This is it. So, yeah, so we could pay him anyway. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I understand now why we're trying to trade him.
I mean, that's certainly, again, nothing shocking here. That's the strength of the team. The bullpen, there's reason to be concerned about. They're also, I'm not a big believer in throwing money at a bullpen. I sort of trust our ability to develop guys.
Yeah.
And it's so fluky performance in the bullpen year to year that I don't mind to throw it all against the wall and see what sticks approach. And I more or less trust Tito to sort that out. I mean, as the year goes on, and let's lean heavy on our starters. We have them for a reason.
Mm-hmm. We got Brett Hand and what else?
Simber, the other guy who came over, the sort of side armor who came over in the Mejia deal from the Padres. He was bad last year, but underperformed what he'd done previously.
All right. I don't feel great about that.
Oliver Perez, who
oh my God, he did well. Every time I watched him, the way he holds his glove drove me crazy, and I felt like he was a crazy person.
Yeah. They got high hopes for him. Tyler Clippard, who they signed in the offseason, I think they're hoping he'll come in and do a little something.
That's true. Cody Anderson's the young guy, right?
What's that?
Cody Anderson.
Cody Anderson's he was a prospect and a starter a few years ago. He had Tommy John surgery, and this is his first year coming back. So we'll see what he does. He's not so young anymore.
That's true.
And then it is a bunch of young guys. Ramirez, who's the young lefty that was lights out for us 2 years ago and then was not so great last year. I'm totally blanking on his name. But they got just guys that they can float out there. And some guys in the minors they can bring up. There's the sort of the long shot that Salazar will come back and be ready to go at some point in the year, and it's clear that he's going to be in the bullpen.
I mean, it's been what, almost 2 years since he pitched, right?
Yeah, he got hurt at the end of the World Series year, right?
Jesus, man, that's a lot.
Never really came back. He's been back in starts and fits, but never really, more or less done for the last 2 years. So listen, nobody count on that, obviously, but. They got guys. I think Tristan McKenzie you could see this year.
Well, that's right, Tristan McKenzie. I forgot about
depending on, that's our top prospect. So depending on what he does, obviously the outfield is an enormous concern. I don't know. Up and down our lineup, there's concerns. I think there's a little reason to be worried about Jose Ramirez. I mean, there's a lot of people that are sort of discounting how bad he was the second half of the year, and just banking on him bouncing back.
It was the last 2 months in playoffs, but I'm very worried that people found a hole in his approach.
I mean, just wasn't hitting breaking stuff. Period.
Yeah.
So that's Frankie's hurt to begin the year. I think he's going to be fine, but
yeah.
So
I mean, we only got like a couple more years of Frankie too. Like Frankie's not going to resign. We're going to extend.
No, there's zero chance of that.
We can't afford it.
So if the lineup's going to do something, we're going to have some weird stuff happen. The kid they got, Bowers from Tampa, is going to have to show more power than he showed previously. Somebody's going to have to come out of nowhere in the outfield. Could be the Mercado, the guy they got from the Cardinals last year.
Yeah.
Martins actually looked pretty decent so far in spring training. Maybe he could get a little something out of him. Maybe Zimmer comes back and shows something. But it's a lot of ifs in that lineup. It's almost all question marks.
So you excited or not?
Catcher?
Is this the end?
It's tough. I mean, I'm always excited because I love baseball and it's fun, but God, in a world where the Red Sox are who they are, the Astros got better, the Yankees got better. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Twins have done enough to pass us, but things could go wrong and the division could sneak up on us this year. That's entirely possible. It does feel like we're coming to the end of this mini run here.
Yeah,
that
we had a real good window, and as you said, I love about the Tribe, the way they're approaching things is to try and keep things from bottoming out, like they have in the past. Like we are poised to. We have more draft picks. We have more talent coming in so that we can keep rebuilding while still having, like, we got a couple more years of a lot of the core players on this team to start, adding new players to, or trading off those guys to get good prospects to revamp the process so that maybe we go like a year or two we're out of the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, what stinks is in a city that didn't draw, like we went to the World Series and didn't draw the next year. That was so disappointing.
Yeah.
Didn't draw last year. That's definitely hurting revenue, which is, this vicious cycle where we don't draw, then we have to trade off players, then people don't want to come to game. Like, and that's going to, what's going to happen when we trade Frankie, if that's the right move to make.
It is. Yeah.
That's going to crush. And, that part stinks. So I think it's the right move, and I trust how this organization manages itself. I think it's well run. But the inability to invest is clearly hurting them with the fans. And in a world where the Browns are resurgent all of a sudden and eating up a lot of that bandwidth.
Back to the Browns, Matty.
Right? Like
Browns.
That's tough.
Yeah.
So it does feel a little and that's the thing that stinks about not going to a Game 7 and not winning.
Oh, God damn it.
That was our shot, and we
twice, Matty.
We blew it.
Twice we've been in Game 7, extra innings.
Yeah, isn't that unreal?
No, has any team been to Game 7 of the World Series twice in extra innings?
I can't imagine.
Just unfucking believable, man.
I can't imagine. I mean, I guess the Braves ever? The Braves did it once with the Twins, right? That Game 7 went to extras. The Morris Smoltz duel.
Yeah, there's no way.
But I can't think off the top of my head if that's happened another time. But heartbreak, man. So I'm gonna get up for this year. I'm hoping, we talk about this every year. You get into the playoffs and you see what happens.
Goddamn right.
Feel a little more like a buzzsaw with the competition that we have, but you don't know.
You'd never know. Frankly, again, here's my reminder. 2016, the Indians are supposed to be fodder for the Red Sox. Then we're supposed to be fodder for the Blue Jays, and then we're supposed to be fodder for the Cubs, because we had all of our, we had so many pitchers who were hurt and injured and couldn't play. All these guys were hurt, and they were so hot at the right time that they took it all the way to Game 7 in extra innings of the World Series. So just get the playoffs. Get the playoffs, and this is a team that can make the playoffs. So,
and even remember the beginning of that year, we were playing with Marlon Byrd starting in right field. I think Colin Cowgill started in the outfield that first game. Wanya Uribe was playing third base for us. Like, a bunch of stuff changed, and guys surprise you. And baseball's awesome like that. And you could have a prospect you weren't expecting to do something, all of a sudden put a year together. And you find yourself in the playoffs, and then who knows what happens. So there's reason to pay attention, but it wouldn't shock me if things went. There's a lot of ways that things could go sideways this year.
Absolutely.
So be prepared for that. But it seems like finally, Patty, will have something else to be excited about in August when two-a-days start for the Brownies, and we can be excited about that. So we only need the Tribe to get us through July.
Absolutely. So on that note, go Tribe, go Cavs, and finally, go Browns. Go Browns.
What is this world, Patty?
What's going on? What is happening? We have a professional football team. All right. That does it for the Cleveland Sports Hour. Until next time, this is Maddie and Patty saying, "Burr." We're out of practice. It's been about a year.
It's been a while. This is not the end, Patty. It's the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a brand new beginning.
That's right.
All right.